Ta-da! And back at you with another video. Welcome to another episode of Stop the Capping. I'm your host Ahmad. And today's conversation and topic, are we going to war? Yes, that is the topic, that is the conversation at hand, that is the issue that is surrounding our nation, our world, as we sit and watch. Are we going to war? Well, if you don't know, or you've not been paying attention to war activities, Israel and Hamas and Libya have been going at it. Mainly Israel. And the United States has been trying to negotiate a ceasefire with Israel, the Hamas, the Palestinians, and that fell through. And it fell through because I think, and this is only my opinion, I think the Israel government, I think the Israel people have had enough of the shenanigans with some of the Muslims in that region. And I don't think it's the religion so much itself, but it's the followers of the religion. And even I have a problem, being a Muslim myself, with some of the behavior, conduct of Muslims in other Muslim countries. And I often ask myself, if Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was alive today, with all this shenanigans and foolishness still will be going on in the Middle East. I often ask myself, if Prophet Muhammad was still walking the face of this earth, would all this shenanigans still be going on in the 21st century? Unfortunately, we'll never know the answer to that. But it does make you think and wonder. And I can say the same thing for Israel. If Jesus was still walking this face of the earth, with all the shenanigans and foolishness, would it still be going on? Will we have all this foolishness that we have here today still going on? Makes you wonder. And I think the Israel government, mainly the Prime Minister, he's just tired of it. I think he's had enough. I think the Israel people's had enough. Every 3 to 4 years, there's always a conflict between the Palestinians, the Hezbollah, and Israel. Every 3 to 4 years, there's always an issue, a conflict, whether it's a terrorist act, a planned act, but there's something always going on. And I think people are just tired of it. I think the Israel government is tired of it. I think the people of Israel are tired of it. And now, they're not trying to hear a conversation. They're not trying to hear a ceasefire. They want to finish this once and for all. They want to finish this once and for all. I think Israel want to just clean house. Point blank and period. They're not trying to hear no negotiations. They're not trying to hear no conversations. They just want to finish this once and for all. So like a heavyweight fight, when two fighters talking that shit, and the other one gets knocked flat out, that's what Israel want. Israel want just to knock them flat out. And that's all that stuff over there. Be it Iran, Lebanon, anybody that's a Muslim country that's hiring terrorists, that's hiding ISIS, that's hiding all these extremist Islamic groups within their country, within their borders. They want to get rid of you. Point blank and period. They want to get rid of you. If it means going to war, so be it. I think they've had enough. I think they're tired. And sometimes I kind of think it's justified. We as Muslims, we're supposed to be Islam is a peaceful religion. You're supposed to seek peace amongst your neighbors. You're supposed to seek peace amongst your enemies. Which means if you can sit down and have a dialogue, come to an understanding, you're supposed to seek that. War, conflict, interest should be your last thing you thinking about. Because remember not, God is watching the decisions that you make as a nation. So if you out here doing all this shenanigans and this foolishness and this nonsense, who are you helping? Who are you helping? So I'm in a kind of an agreement. Once you sit down with the nation, you try to make a ceasefire, you try to get along with them, you try to establish some peace. Now understand, there are going to be some discrimination and prejudice. When you try to sit across a group of people or race of people that you may not like, you may have a small type of prejudice against that particular group, race, and or religion. Sometimes the agreement that you make is not really good an agreement. Sometimes two parties don't want to give. So if I don't like you, but we sitting out having a talk, I'm going to agree to some things, but it's always going to be in my favor. It's more like, hey, this is what I'm going to give you. Take it or you leave it. And I think this is how the agreement has kind of been with the Hamas, with the Gaza, with the Palestinians, as far as Israel is concerned. I think they have controlled all the talks and the conversation. They've laid down the foundation, even though Americans try to step in and help out and put their little 2 cents in it. But I still think at the end of the day, Israel has had the upper hands in all these conversations and all these talks. I don't think giving up was 50-50. I don't think both sides gave up this and gave up this equally. I think the Palestinians had to give up a little bit more to make this agreement go through. And you may say, oh, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. Something's not true. Somebody's capping. Somebody's telling a lie, because every 3 to 4 years there is a conflict over there in the Middle East. Whether it's Iran, first we had Libya, then we had Saddam Hussein and his shenanigans and his nonsense. Every 3 to 4 years there is something going on in the Middle East. Islam is supposed to be a peaceful and righteous religion, but yet there is so much conflict going on. So what is the real issue? It's not the religion, it is the men who are controlling the religion. It is the men and their interpretation of the religion that is causing these conflicts to keep popping up every 3 to 4 years. So I would say to those people in those countries, y'all need to select and elect better leaders of your country, because of the shenanigans and foolishness that they are putting your whole country in doesn't make sense. Every 3 to 4 years there is a conflict in the Middle East, and this is supposed to be a peaceful religion. Help me make that make sense. Islam is supposed to be a peaceful, a beautiful and blessed religion ordained by God himself. Islam is the will of God. God wants us to be a peaceful race of people. You're black, you this, you that, for a reason. We're not to fight over the reason why God have us black, you white, you this, you that, you that. That is not for us to fight over. All we're supposed to do is be kind and be helpful to one another. It shouldn't matter the color of our skin, the texture of our hair. We as human beings are all placed here for a reason. We are all living here at some point in time. Every last single one of us are leaving this planet at some given point in time. Everything in life seems to be a test, right? Driving test. You need a test to graduate high school, elementary school, junior high school, college. You need a test to be a doctor. All these tests is going on. Don't you not think God's giving you a test? Don't you think the Father is not testing you? You think you just walking around here on earth and can do whatever you want and there's no consequences and repercussions for the action that you do? You really thinking you just walking around here doing whatever you want and there is no consequences or repercussions for your actions, good and or bad? Not only from society, but from the Lord himself. You actually think you walking around here and you're not going to be held accountable for the actions and conducts and things that you do while you're here on this earth? You just think you just free flowing? If you think Jesus dying on the cross is going to save your ass from the consequences that's about to happen to you for your deeds and conducts, you better think again. If you think your sin just going to be wiped out, if you think that shenanigans is really what's going to happen, you better think again. You really need to think. If you think the Lord just going to let you run around here and do whatever you want, and there's no consequences for it, because another man said Jesus died for our sins. I tell you what, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. You are going to be in for a rude awakening. And as a Muslim nation, you're supposed to be trying to encourage peace, not only amongst your own, but amongst the world. You're supposed to be the one stepping out, showing the world how to do things the right way. The conduct and behavior by these Muslim nations, who would want to follow that? You're not setting a good example to the world of a religion that is supposed to be a blessed and peaceful religion. You're making Islam look like a bunch of terrorists. You're not shining a positive light on Islam. You're not shining a positive light on the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him. You're not shining a positive light on yourself. You're not shining a positive light on the country. And the world wants to be done with you, because it seems like all you want to do is cause trouble and chaos. And that is not what Islam is all about. So I tell you, these countries, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, who are predominantly a Muslim nation, you guys need to sit down and get it together, because you're not looking good. You're not looking good. The pilgrimage to Mecca just passed maybe a few months ago. And yet here we are again with more conflict, more issues, and more concerns need to be hashed out. Make it make sense. There are over 40,000 U.S. troops sitting around waiting, just in case something jumps off. Which means their issues and concerns become our issues and concerns. Their fight ends up becoming our fight. This is not Christianity against Islam. This is against a bunch of idiots who call themselves Muslims, who call themselves following the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, but yet their actions and conduct doesn't coincide with Islam. I read the Quran just like they read the Quran. It only says make war with those who make war against you. Conducting terrorist activity, going out here killing innocent people, is not what the teaching of Islam is all about. Nor your conduct should be what it is. At no point in the Islamic teaching does it tell you to strap a bomb to yourself and go in and blow up a bunch of people. Make it make sense. Nowhere in the Quran, nowhere is Prophet Muhammad condoning this type of behavior. So these individuals who standing out in front of you, false prophesizing, false guiding you, trying to influence you to say this is what Prophet Muhammad meant and said, you're following the wrong people. You need to get your mind right. You need to ask Allah, God, to open up your eyes and ears to the real truth, because you following the idiot. You out here committing terrorist activities in the name of Allah. Allah don't need you to go out here and commit no terrorist attack on his behalf. Stop with that nonsense. Allah has not asked you, me, or anybody else to go out here and commit any type of crime on his behalf. Let's stop with that foolishness. Prophet Muhammad did not teach you, me, or anybody else to go out here and commit terrorist activities in the name of Allah. Let's stop with that foolishness. Point blank and period. God does not need you to fight any battle on his behalf. Trust and believe me. So let's stop with this foolishness. Here we are again. Another 4 years about to come upon us. And we got another conflict in the Middle East. Now Iran, who wants to be the stronghold or be the foundation of Islam, who wants to call themselves we have the nuclear power, we have the this and this and this and that, who now figures they're the keeper of the faith. So they launched about 200-300 some air-to-air missiles on Israel. I don't think none of them hit. I don't think they hit anything. Yeah, it looked good on TV. You shooting all these missiles. But it also looked good that they're getting destroyed too. You people need to stand up and say enough is enough. You elect these people in office, men who can't sit down and negotiate and conversate with their fellow man across borders without having to go to war. You got Russia in a war with Ukraine. Over what? At the end of the day, what are they fighting for? Greed and an expansion. That's what it is. Greed and expansion. You can't take care of what you already got, but you want to expand. Make that make sense. You got all the shenanigans going on that involves other countries. Because men can't sit down at the table and conversate and try to make out a solution for all people to prosper from. We didn't create the United States. The United States was here before we got here. Men do not know how to sit down and conversate amongst themselves worldwide. There's always conflict and issues. You can never get a bunch of men to sit down at the table and conduct themselves like men damn near almost anywhere in the world. There's always an issue with someone. There's always a concern, a problem with someone. No one has really learned how to sit down and diplomatize their issues and concerns without somebody getting mad, pissed off, and jumping up and like, hell with it. We going to war. And war is not going to benefit anybody. War is not going to benefit anybody. What war is going to do is piss the Lord off. What war is going to do is piss the Lord off. He's going to get tired of our shenanigans, and we all going to be up out of here. Because we don't know how to conduct ourselves as men and women. And when the Lord gets tired of you, your ass is out. Point blank and period. When the Lord gets tired of you, your ass is out. Hence, all the other nations that came before us, with all the foolishness and carrying on that they were doing, we are no better than them. Oh, sure, we have cars that can go faster. We have planes now that can move us from one place to another. But we, as human beings, we haven't changed. We're the same ignorant race of people that was before us. And that's how we're behaving right now. 2024, we acting just as ignorant as those back in 2000 BC, AD. We ain't acting no better. But we supposed to be running around here like we more highly intelligent. But yet we constantly find ourselves in conflict every 4 years over foolishness. So I ask again, are we about to get dragged into another war? Are we going to be going to war? I served in the United States because I believe in Islam, and I feel that to keep my faith here, I should join the service. I should stand up and be accountable. But the conduct and behavior in these other Muslim countries makes me want to think. How can a religion so beautiful, yet the people and the leaders that are in control of these countries so hideous? What Quran are they reading? What teachings are they following? What teachings are they subjecting the people in those countries to? Because it's showing Islam. Islam did not tell you to strap a bomb to yourself and go in the club and blow it up. Let's stop with that shenanigan. Let's stop the capping. Nowhere in the Quran does it tell you to kill yourself and kill everybody else. It said make peace with those who try to make peace with you. Okay, you sit down for negotiation. Negotiation don't go well. You break it off. But you don't go back and start trying to make terrorist activities. You don't go back and try to use force since the conversation fell down. Well, I'm going to sneak and do it. I'm going to start blowing up this and blowing up that. And then you want the world to respect that? You want the world to respect that? There's over 200 million people here, different denominations here in the United States alone. The largest denomination of religious people here in this country is Christian. 73.5 as of 2016 population here in the United States are Christian or Protestant or some form of Christianity. So what do you think the population is in Jerusalem? What do you think that number is in Jerusalem? So you want to go attack another Christian state, and then you think the world's just going to sit by and let this happen? You about to take an ass whooping that does not need to be taken. We as Muslims supposed to be setting an example for the world to follow. Tell me, who's going to follow the shenanigans that we got going on? Who going to follow this foolishness that we got going on? Talking about in the name of Allah, peace and blessings upon Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad is not teaching this. He is not teaching you to go out there and do war with your enemy. He's not teaching you to go out here and kill yourself and kill others in the name of Allah. Yeah, there's a call for war when you try to make peace. Trying to make peace and demanding peace is two different things. You can't force to demand something on another country that they're not willing to take part in. That's not negotiation. You can't force your will and belief on another nation who does not feel your belief. You can't force it. You can't take it over. There's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be an issue. There's always going to be a problem. So I ask, are we going to war? Will we be dragged into another war before we even elect a new president? We got our own concerns and issues and conflict over here. But now that's got to get put on the backside. Now what Kamala Harris and Donald Trump got going on, that's got to get put on the backside. We might end up in a war. We might get dragged into a war. And then my thing is, what are all the other Muslim nations doing? What are all the other Muslim leaders and nations doing? Are they just sitting back wondering, are they going to get drawn in? Or are they negotiating? Are someone really sitting back and saying, hey, hold fast. Let's stop this. Let's stop what's going on. Let's stop this foolishness. Why are we as Muslims creating conflict and confusion in the world? We as Muslims should be showing the world how to behave and act and conduct ourselves amongst ourselves and with our fellow non-Muslim nations. We should be the leader in setting a proper example of how we live as Muslims. Look, world, this is how we live as Muslims. Look at us. But the way we're behaving, who's going to follow that? Who's going to follow the behavior of Muslims acting and conducting themselves like that? Who's going to follow that? What man or woman in their right mind will follow that type of behavior? Trust me, people, it's not the religion. Islam is not teaching this. It is a bunch of group of men who got this all twisted, who got the faith and the teaching all twisted, and they put in this foolishness and nonsense into the young men's and women's minds over there, and they can't get their heads straight. They doing so wrong, thinking they doing right. Let me repeat myself. They're doing so much wrong, thinking in the name of righteousness that they're doing right. And they're totally wrong. Are we about to be dragged into another war, another conflict between the Middle East? And it doesn't have to be. The Palestinians, the Pakistani, they should have been building that country up, showing the world, hey, this is how we get it done. Other Muslim nations should have been helping building and repairing that country to greatness. It should have been an open border between Palestine and Jerusalem. It should have been an open border. That's peace. There ain't but one God. There is not but one God. Whether you Christian or Muslim, there is only one God. God says he goes by many names. If God didn't want all these religions here, they would be gone. Point blank and period. Trust and believe me, if the Lord did not want them to be here, they would be gone. The Lord did not ask you to commit crime and murder in his name and on his and in behalf of him. That is not the teaching of Christianity. That is not the teaching of Islam. That is the teaching of foolish men in high positions. And I think Israel has had enough of this foolishness. They ain't trying to hear no more conversation. They're not trying to turn the cheek. They're tired of turning cheeks. They have turned so many cheeks, they don't have another cheek to turn. And sometimes I ask myself, should I blame the Prime Minister? Is he war hungry? Is he like Putin? Or has he just had enough? Now, he know he ain't going to live forever, but I guess he said, if I'm going to go out, I'm going out fighting.